Why do some people seem to have so much while others have, well, so little?
And it's not just about money or stuff, is it?
Not at all. It goes much deeper into our whole worldview.
Right. And these are the insights of Sheikh Muhammad Metwally al-Sharawi. He was a hugely influential Egyptian Islamic scholar.
Got it. So our mission today really is to unpack some of his transformative ideas. We want to explore divine provision, our own responsibility, and maybe uncover some of those hidden workings of the universe he talks about.
Absolutely. Prepare yourselves, because some of these concepts might really shift your perspective.
I'm definitely ready to explore. Where does he start us off?
Well, he grounds it all in a core Quranic verse. And there is not a thing, but with us are its treasuries.
Okay, with us are its treasuries. What does that mean in practice?
It's pretty profound. He interprets it to mean that God has already decreed and provided everything humanity needs, all sustenance.
Everything, from when to when?
From Adam, the very first human, right up until the day of judgment. It's all stored, essentially.
Wow. So hang on. If everything is already provided, already stored up, then scarcity.
Exactly. That's where he kind of flips the script.
That means lack isn't God holding back, right?
Precisely. Any constriction, any lack you see out there, he argues, is a direct result of human actions. Or maybe inactions.
That's a huge shift. It puts the responsibility squarely on us. Does he give examples?
Yeah, very vivid ones. He says, if you see someone who's poor, it signifies that someone wealthy isn't fulfilling their duty.
So neglecting their responsibility to share.
Right. And it's not just money. If you see someone helpless, it implies someone with power didn't step up.
Okay.
If you see ignorance, it means someone with knowledge held it back. If you see clumsiness or lack of skill, maybe a wise person didn't share their wisdom.
So it's this interconnected web. My lack might be because of your withholding or someone else's.
That's the idea. He suggests creation is designed for mutual support and cooperation. It's meant to be a balanced system.
Not conflict or opposition.
No. Any imbalance we see points back to us collectively.
That ties into another point he makes, doesn't it? About divine grace coming before obligation.
Yes, exactly. The concept of taklif.
Taklif. That's divine obligation or accountability, right?
Correct. And Sheikh Sharawi emphasizes that God provides the essentials first: food, drink, shelter, even the instinct to procreate before imposing this taklif.
Okay, why is that timing important?
Well, it shows a profound mercy, doesn't it? It means we're allowed to reach full physical and mental maturity, puberty, the capacity for reason, procreation, before we're held fully responsible for our choices.
So we're equipped first, then accountable. It's a preparatory phase.
Precisely. It's a foundational kindness built into the system.
That makes sense. And this idea of provision, he talks about how it's stored, right? In a hidden way.
Yes, he uses the word matmor, like buried or concealed within the earth. But it's not just one type of storage. He outlines 3 distinct forms.
3 forms? Okay, I'm intrigued. What are they?
First, there's what he calls individual storage, tamar fardi. Think of this as resources that are readily available right now in abundance. Like, imagine vast stores of wheat already existing, sufficient for all time.
Like the potential is already there, accessible.
Kind of, yeah. Then there's species storage, tamarnari. This is more about continuity. It's like saving seeds from this year's harvest to plant next year.
Okay, ensuring the species continues. We do that instinctually, almost.
We do. And the third type is maybe the most mind-bending: generic storage. Tamargency.
Generic storage?
Yeah. This is the idea that God embedded all the future potential, all the characteristics of a plant within its very first seed.
So the blueprint for everything that plant could ever become was in the original.
That's the concept. And get this detail, he suggests that the grain of wheat you eat today actually contains a particle, however tiny, from the first grain ever planted.
Wow. That's a deep connection. It makes it feel like an unbroken chain right back to the beginning.
Doesn't it? It paints this picture of continuous, guaranteed provision, and he links this to growth and multiplication, Nima and Takathur, which he says mirrors human procreation.
Showing this universal balance again. The way plants perpetuate, the way humans do. It's all part of the same design.
Absolutely. It's one integrated system, but then he pushes us further, beyond just the material stuff.
Right, because provision, or risk, isn't just about food and money.
Not at all. He introduces 2 distinct kinds of risk. One sustains the body, wealth, food, physical strength.
The stuff we usually think of.
Yeah, but the other sustains human values. Things like patience, wisdom, inner strength, resilience.
And this is where it gets really interesting, I think. He says sometimes restricting the material stuff.
Is actually a greater form of giving. Yes.
How does that work? It sounds so counterintuitive.
Well, think about it. By withholding material wealth or physical ease, perhaps God imbues that person with deeper, more valuable inner qualities.
Like patience or reliance on God.
Exactly. Or it might create a situation where others are moved to help or serve that person, fulfilling a right or a need that might not have been met otherwise.
So the restriction itself becomes a means of provision, either internally or through others.
Precisely. It leads to his conclusion. Every gift from God is provision, whether it's by granting or by withholding. You have to look beyond the surface.
That really challenges how we judge situations, doesn't it? Seeing someone struggle versus someone thriving.
It completely reframes it.
How?
And it leads directly into his discussion of trials, ibtila.
Trials, like tests.
Yes, he quotes the Quran. As for man, when his Lord tries him and honors him and bestows blessings upon him, he says, "My Lord has honored me." But when he tries him and restricts this provision for him, he says, "My Lord has humiliated me."
So we tend to equate wealth with honor and poverty with humiliation.
That's the human tendency. But the Sheikh's clarification is crucial. He says both situations, abundance and restriction, are trials, ibtila.
Both are tests, not signs of favor or disfavor.
Correct. Abundance is a test. Will you be grateful? Will you share? Restriction is also a test. Will you be patient? Or perhaps is this restriction actually protecting you from using wealth in harmful ways?
That's a powerful lens.
Yeah.
It removes the judgment and replaces it with questioning the purpose.
Exactly. And he's quite blunt about human nature here, too.
Oh, how so?
He points out that if we controlled God's treasuries, we'd likely withhold out of fear of poverty because, as he puts it, humans are inherently stingy.
A bit harsh, maybe, but it does make you think about our anxieties around resources.
It does, and it leads to this really provocative idea he calls intelligent selfishness.
Intelligent selfishness. That sounds like a contradiction.
It does on the surface,
Yeah.
but he suggests that even acts that look purely selfless, like preferring others over yourself.
Like altruism.
Yes. From a higher perspective, he argues, these can be seen as a form of intelligent self-interest, aimed at securing a much greater lasting reward in the hereafter, rather than just temporary worldly gain.
So it's not purely transactional in a crude way, but understanding where the real enduring benefit lies.
That seems to be the point. It's about aligning with a higher eternal purpose. And this understanding, he argues, also combats arrogance.
How so?
Because God wants to balance the scale of faith. He reminds us we are sons of change. We experience strength, then weakness, health, then sickness.
Right. Life is full of ups and downs. We're not static.
Exactly. This constant flux prevents us from getting too comfortable or arrogant, from thinking our power or health is solely from ourselves. It kind of shakes individuals for the benefit of all, keeping us humble and reliant.
It reminds me of his point about loss highlighting blessings.
Yes. That's a key mechanism. You don't truly appreciate health until you're sick, or clean water until it's scarce.
It's true. You take your eyes for granted until they hurt.
Right? That experience of loss, or potential loss, forces gratitude and reminds us of our dependence. It's a built-in system for appreciation.
This meticulous design,
Yeah,
it seems to extend everywhere, doesn't it? Even to the cosmos.
absolutely. He brings in another verse, and there is not a thing but with us are its treasuries, and we do not send it down except in a known measure.
In a known measure. So not all at once, but precisely calculated.
Exactly. Think about natural resources.
Yeah.
He suggests things like fuels weren't just randomly discovered. Wood was available first, then coal became accessible, then oil.
Each appearing when humanity had the need and perhaps the capacity to utilize it.
That's the implication. A divinely timed, measured release. Not random chance, but part of this known measure.
And he talks about wind in this context too, the really specific linguistic point.
Yes, it's fascinating. In the Quran, the singular form Riyah is often used for destructive wind, like a hurricane perhaps.
Okay.
But the plural form Riyah is used for beneficial winds.
Plural. Riyah. Why the difference?
His explanation is about balance. A single powerful wind blowing constantly from one direction would be destructive, right? It could topple structures, erode mountains unevenly.
Sure, it would throw everything off kilter.
But Riyah winds coming from multiple directions maintain equilibrium. They balance things out. And more than that,
There's more.
he connects it to fertilization. Arsalna Riyah Lawaki, we sent the winds fertilizing.
Fertilizing. Like Pollinating.
Precisely. Locke implies that which carries the means of fertilization. It connects to the idea that everything in creation exists in pairs, male and female, for reproduction.
Even in plants where you might not see obvious male and female parts.
Yes, especially those. Think of plants like date palms or olives, where the wind carries the unseen pollen, enabling fruit to grow.
Yeah.
It's the wind acting as the agent of life.
That explains how you sometimes see barren land suddenly turn green after rain, even if you didn't see any seeds being planted.
Exactly. The wind, the Riyah, has carried them. Unseen, it's this subtle, vital process.
An invisible hand at work. And water, too. The rain cycle.
Another perfect example of this known measure and design, he quotes, "And we send down from the sky water, and we give it to you to drink, and you are not its storers."
You are not its storers. But we build dams, reservoirs.
We do, but we only store what God has already sent down as rain. We manage it, we divert it, but we don't create the water itself. We're recipients, not originators.
And the scale of it is mind-boggling.
Absolutely. He uses an analogy. Think about desalination or distillation. Humans use complex, expensive technology to get maybe a cup of pure water.
Right, it's a huge effort for a small amount.
Compare that to the natural rain cycle. Effortless, massive-scale purification and distribution of fresh water across the entire planet. It highlights the immense power and grace involved.
It really puts our own efforts into perspective. This leads to another big idea about balance and acceptance, right?
Yes, the idea that essential things are conserved. The amount of water on Earth, the components of air, the elements needed for food, they remain constant overall.
Like the water cycle example. The water I drink eventually returns to the system.
Exactly. It changes form, moves around, but the total quantity remains balanced. Nothing is truly lost in the grand scheme, just transformed.
And knowing this balance, this underlying order, how does that relate to accepting what happens in our lives, the difficult things?
That's where the concept of accepting divine decree, kata, comes in strongly. The verse, "What you are promised is surely to occur."
So what will be, but acceptance is hard.
It is. But the Sheik teaches that often our resistance to what God has decreed is what prolongs our suffering. Acceptance, on the other hand,
Leads to relief.
yes, or at least opens the door to understanding the wisdom behind it. He uses a simple analogy: a child being disciplined by a loving parent. If the child resists, struggles, argues the discipline might be prolonged, but if the child submits, accepts the correction.
They usually find comfort much quicker. The parent reassures them.
Exactly. Acceptance allows the underlying mercy or wisdom to manifest. He even connects it to the story of Prophet Yusuf,
Who went through immense hardship, betrayal, prison.
terrible trials. But his acceptance and patience ultimately led him to a position of great power and influence, fulfilling a divine plan that was hidden initially.
So acceptance isn't passive resignation, but active trust in a larger purpose.
That's a great way to put it. And it offers a practical way to navigate challenges.
How so? What should we do when facing difficulty?
He suggests reflecting. Where is this coming from? Is it the direct result of my own actions? Like, I failed the exam because I didn't study?
Okay, if it's my fault, the path is clear. Change my actions. Study next time.
Right. But what if it's not clearly your fault? I studied incredibly hard. I knew the material, but I still failed.
Then it might be from a higher source. From God.
That's the possibility to consider. And if it is, then there's a hidden wisdom. Maybe failing that specific test prevents some larger harm down the road. Maybe it guides you towards a different path, a different university, a different career that's ultimately better for you.
So don't just react emotionally. Pause and discern the source.
Exactly. If the challenge comes from an adversary, you respond appropriately. But if you discern it might be a divine decree, then approach it with patience, looking for the underlying wisdom or benefit. It changes your entire response.
Wow. We've covered so much ground here. From the nature of universal abundance to the meaning of trials, the precision of wind and rain.
Yep.
It's incredibly expansive.
It really is. It fundamentally shifts how you might look at concepts like blessing and hardship. It reveals this intricate, delicate balance in absolutely everything. Nothing feels random.
Everything seems measured, purposeful.
Every grant, every restriction, part of a larger tapestry.
So for everyone listening, perhaps the final thought to ponder is this. How might your life change if you started viewing everything that happens, the good, the bad, the abundance, the lack, not just as an isolated event, but as a carefully measured act of provision, of risk from a higher power?
Yeah, does seeing it that way invite you to search for the hidden wisdom, the deeper meaning in all of it?
Could it transform challenges into catalysts for growth and blessings into opportunities, maybe even tests of your own generosity and gratitude? Something to think about.
Thank you for watching. Explore our bookstore on Amazon.